Hi everyone, this is Katie from Thermomixing with the Balanced Nutritionist and Family, and today I'm just making a short video to benefit those who have just got their TM7s and who have unpacked it and successfully set it up, connected it to Wi-Fi, connected it to Cookidoo, but now they're thinking, okay, what do I do next? Ideally, you'll have a demonstration, a delivery demonstration set up with me if I'm your consultant or with your own personal consultant. But sometimes there's a little bit of a lag. Sometimes you get your Thermomix, you've watched your unpacking and unboxing and setup video. So this is not one of those videos. This is after that's done. And then you're thinking, well, what do I do now? My delivery demo is not for another couple of days or it's not for another couple of weeks, but I'd like to sort of start using my Thermomix. And sometimes people just don't want to have a delivery demo, but it's important that you do get some of this information specifically communicated to you in a timely fashion. So that's why I made this video. I apologize if the frame is not perfect. I don't have somebody helping me today, so I'm just using a tripod. So I guess what I wanted to say first of all is that it's really important you understand what not to do with your Thermomix before you start using it, okay? And there are a few things that are really important as consultants for us to tell you. The first don't do is never walk away from your machine if it is in dough mode. So if you're making bread or pizza or scones or biscuits like gingerbread biscuits or something like that that require the knead function, and you'll only ever knead for 30 seconds to 2 minutes in the Thermomix because that amount of time replaces 15 minutes of hand kneading. But don't walk away from your machine if it is in knead mode. Obviously, we advertise the Thermomix as a hands-free appliance, but the only mode that you can't walk away from it is the dough mode, because when it's in dough, it's kneading. So this will actually move slightly, and there is a very minute risk that the machine may actually walk off the bench. So we always say be close by if it's in knead mode, just so that you can keep a close eye on it. The next thing that you want to make sure is that the toes of your Thermomix bowl are always dry before you put it back together. So let me show you what I mean. Underneath, you'll have these toes. So there's these prongs here, and they're going to go straight into the motor there, okay? It doesn't matter if you're cooking and you get splatter over the screen or you even get some liquid pooling here. All of that is fine. We just want to make sure that those toes are really, really dry before you pop it onto the base. The best thing to do is to simply get into the habit of it once you've cleaned it, if you've done pre-clean and then zhushed it out in the sink, or maybe you have popped it in the dishwasher, make sure you just quickly run a tea towel over those prongs or those toes before you pop it back in, and everything will be fine. Next bit of advice, don't ever put your Thermomix back on the base like this unless it is ready to use. So make sure that your knife blade is locked into the bowl. So, for example, don't ever do this. Leave your knife blade out. Let's say you're giving it a good clean, pop it there, pop the lid on. It's not going to pop on properly. But if somebody came along very quickly, they might think, oh cool, the Thermomix is ready to go. I'll just grab some milk out of the fridge, pour it in because I'm going to make a smoothie. And then what happens is you're going to end up with liquid all through your motor, okay? So a nice habit to get into is if your Thermomix is not ready to use, so maybe some part of it is still being cleaned or dried, upside down on the base. So everybody in your household knows, hey, it's not ready to be used, it hasn't been put back together, and that way you'll avoid any unfortunate mishaps. Last one, when you're using Varoma mode, so that's the steaming function. We've got our Varoma sitting on top here. Always take the lid off this way, okay? Never like this. That doesn't seem natural, but it can happen. And what will happen is you'll end up with steam burns because you're gonna have steam coming up through the top, okay? So protect yourself and use the lid as a barrier between you and the steam, and move away when you're using Varoma method. couple of other little tips. If you haven't already, make sure you're on Cookidoo and you're using Cookidoo. Maybe you've planned some weeks, maybe you've created a few recipe lists of things that you want to try. Ideally, you probably want to engage with Cookidoo, you know, a week to even a month before your machine arrives, you know, if there is a delay on it. Other little tip, if you're finding your scales, so let's have a look here. Actually, you guys can't see my screen, but let's say you're weighing something in the machine and it's not tarring, it's not going back to zero, or it's not settling. Just make sure that nothing is touching the outside of the base. So you've got no little cords or little bowls that might be bumping up against the base, because if there's anything touching the base, that will potentially affect the scales and they won't actually tar. They're very, very sensitive. So just make sure that the Thermomix is standing on its own on a completely flat surface. What to cook first? So theoretically, you could really cook anything that you wanted first, but generally we recommend that you cook a stock paste. So usually that would be the vegetable stock paste, which is just lots and lots of vegetables, a little bit of water and olive oil, and heaps of rock salt. It's super easy. Everything goes into the bowl, including herbs, bay leaves, and it gets chopped up, cooked on for 20 to 25 minutes, and then you blend it into a beautiful stock paste concentrate. That can then be frozen into little jars or into ice cube trays and popped into your freezer. The reason why you want to think about doing your vegetable stock paste first is because it's in a lot of recipes. So you don't want to go and do a pasta dish first and think, what's this vegetable stock paste? I don't have any. Of course, you can use something out of your pantry that you've bought from the supermarket, but you're not going to get the same depth of flavor. And the whole idea of having a Thermomix is end-to-end cooking. So cooking from scratch, we want to control what's going into the food, and you're going to be able to create a much healthier stock paste yourself without any preservatives or added nasties if you make the Thermomix version. One lot of stock paste is going to last you several months, even if you are a family. So it's worth doing. I use the stock paste interchangeably. So I never have beef stock, chicken stock, and vegetable stock paste all in the freezer. I usually just have one of them. And if a recipe calls for chicken stock paste and I've got vegetable stock paste, then I'm going to use the veggie stock paste because it's still going to do a great job. All right. So hopefully that's helped you, and hopefully you are going to have a delivery demonstration, because it really does raise your confidence and it gets you really keen and excited to get in there and using your Thermomix, and it shows you that it's really not difficult at all. But thank you so much for for tuning in. Feel free to leave me a comment, and feel free to share this with any friends that you might have who might have a Thermomix and they're not really sure where to start. Katie from Thermomixing with the Balanced Nutritionist and Family, and good luck and enjoy your Thermomix.